Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video we have pretty much our first snowstorm chance for the northeastern United States. This is the time of year that we typically see this begin to occur. I'm very excited to talk about today's topic. Before I get into the video, be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. For today's comment of the day, I want to know, do you think this is going to be a very minor snowfall event, or do you think this could include some pretty widespread accumulating snowfall? Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Now, this looks to be a classic Clipper system that turns into a Miller B nor'easter at this point. We have the European model, the GFS model, and the Canadian model on board. So confidence is pretty high, and it's not even that far out. So let's take a look currently at our simulated radar as of right now. And we do have our current ongoing snowstorm, this one that we had been talking about a lot. And this one ended up being a decent snowstorm. We were able to predict this one very far out, and it was pretty much on par with what the models were calling for in the range we ended up talking about it. Now, by the time we are reaching about the morning hours of Saturday, November 13th, I would say about 4 a.m., this one is going to move up into Canada and really dissipate from the United States. You can see there is a few flurries or snow showers left over for the upper Midwest, but for the most part, this one will have moved out. Now, we do see there is going to be some cold air that follows in after this one, and that is what's going to allow for this next snowstorm to take place. So let's start taking a look at that. This is our simulated radar for the upper Midwest by time we're taking a look at about 8 p.m. on Saturday. So this storm is very close to happening. We're about 48 hours away from the beginning of this storm, if not less. We have moderate to heavy snowfall there showing up for North Dakota and Minnesota. Some of those areas that have already seen snowfall from that initial snowstorm are going to be getting quite a bit more from this Clipper system. It's important to note that Clipper systems move very quickly, probably one of the fastest moving snowstorms that there is, or classic snowstorm tracks that is. This is a very common, probably the most common storm track during the winter time, and these move very quickly. We can see it's a 998 millibar low pressure system, which is on the stronger side for an Alberta Clipper, by the way, and that's why we do have that heavier snowfall compared to what typically happens with these types of storms. And by the time we're reaching as early as about 7 a.m. here on Sunday, November 14th, 2 days from now, you can see that we do have that moderate snowfall going on for Minnesota and Wisconsin by this point, and then light snowfall going on for a lot of the Ohio Valley and the Great Lakes. We do see some lake effect snowfall showing up that will obviously increase amounts in those areas that do see that lake effect snowfall. And even by the time we're taking a look at about 2 p.m. here on Sunday, November 14th, still, we can see that there's a lot of that moderate to heavy snowfall ongoing for southern Wisconsin and some regions of the lower peninsula there of Michigan as well, as that snowstorm is moving through that low pressure system. And what we're going to see in a moment is this one's going to move through these regions into the northeastern United States, where it's going to reform offshore of the East Coast and become a nor'easter. And this is when things are going to get really interesting. Now, this is by the time we're taking a look at approximately 11 p.m. or so on Sunday. So the very late hours of Sunday, again, 2 days from now. So this one is not too far out from happening. We do have model agreement at this point. We do see some snowfall still ongoing for Michigan. Some of that mixing going on there for Illinois, Indiana, Ohio. We have some snowfall there for Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Maryland, as well as New York. So this one is going to be a widespread sloppy snowstorm, I would say, which is, again, very typical for this time of year. Very elevation-based, we can expect, but a lot of areas will see some flakes mixing in. Now, this frame here is interesting. This is going to be about 5 a.m. here on Monday, November 15th, and this is when it's about to transfer offshore. We do see some snowfall mixing in for, again, but by this point, I mean North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and then especially there in New York, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine. Pretty much a vast majority of these interior states and regions are seeing snowfall at this point, at least mixing in. And by the very next frame, 6 a.m. here on Monday, this is when we begin to see this one transfer offshore. We can see that little L showing up there south of Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. Only a 1006 millibar low pressure system by this point, but this is going to rapidly intensify actually offshore, and it's even going to get into the 990s in a minute. So that's what we're going to see take place. But We see that elevation snowfall taking place for West Virginia, Maryland, still Pennsylvania, but now especially northeastern Pennsylvania, northern New Jersey, mountainous regions of New York. And then we see there in the Berkshires, the Green Mountains, the White Mountains there as well for areas in Connecticut, Massachusetts, Vermont, and New Hampshire. Seeing that more heavier snowfall for the higher elevation regions. I've seen this type of a snowstorm this time of year time and time again, and that's why I'm very confident that this is a realistic scenario at this point. Again, I've seen this type of a storm before for sure. And by the time we're reaching about maybe 11 a.m. here on Monday, we see it's lowered to a 1002 millibar low pressure system. We see that snowfall still for West Virginia, Maryland, Pennsylvania, but also New York, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire. And now Maine is really getting involved as well. Interior Maine. This one could trend east or west or colder or warmer at this point, so we need to keep that in mind. But at this point, it looks like a nor'easter snowstorm is very, very possible, to say the least. And by the time we're reaching about 3 p.m. that day, we could see a lot of mixing going on for the interior northeastern United States as this low pressure system moves out and the precipitation gets a little lighter. We still see plenty of those blues showing up for a lot of states, but now northern Maine is really the bullseye here for the heaviest snowfall as this low pressure system is lowered to a 993 millibar low pressure system. All right, and now what we're going to do is we're going to move on. We have one last frame of simulated radar to take a look at, and then we're going to move on to the total snowfall from our European model and then also our GFS model and Canadian model to take a look at here to see how much snowfall is going to be possible with this storm. All right, now here we are taking a look at the last frame on that European model's simulated radar, and as you can see, very heavy snowfall for northern Maine, a 987 millibar low pressure system by this point. So a very strong low pressure system, and it's intensifying very last minute to bring extremely heavy snowfall actually there for northern Maine. Once it becomes purple like that, that is very heavy snowfall in those magenta shades there for northern Maine. These areas are very used to snowfall pretty much, 60% of the year, so this is not too surprising up there. But what is surprising is the widespread clipper that we are expecting for the middle portion of November, the early to middle portion of November. So let's take a look at the total snowfall here, national view. As you can see, snowfall is expected from the upper Midwest into the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, and then the interior northeastern corner of the United States. So anywhere in the grays, we're expecting under 2 inches of snowfall, mostly just flakes. In the blues, we're expecting 2 to 6 inches of snowfall. Purples are going to be 6 to 10, and then pinks are going to be 10 to 20. Again, these clippers move very fast, and that's why we're not seeing much above 10, really. Let's zoom in here to the northeastern United States, and as you can see, again, very elevation-based. We see the Appalachian Mountains there in West Virginia seeing quite a bit, about 6 to 10 inches of snowfall there possible. The Adirondacks, we see some 6 to 10 inch amounts showing up for those mountain peaks. Also, the Green Mountains of Vermont seeing those more 6 to 10 inch amounts, and then the White Mountains as well. And then we see the northern regions there of Maine also getting involved with those 6 to 10, even 10 inch plus amounts, which again is not surprising with that heavier snowfall this model is indicating. Now, as we move on to the GFS model, you can see it's a little bit less heavy with the highest amounts, but it is more widespread with those 2 to 6 inch amounts. Those blues are a little bit more abundant there, but we see more scattered in purples with less pinks. So this model really spreads it around a little bit more. Let's zoom into the northeastern United States on this model as well. And again, we see pretty much the same areas highlighted here. Catskills, Adirondacks, Green Mountains, Berkshires, and also White Mountains included here. Less for northern Maine, obviously, on this GFS model. And then let's finally take a look at this Canadian model here as well. And as you can see, again, Catskills, Adirondacks, Green Mountains, Berkshires, White Mountains, and then northern Maine. So the consensus here seems to be that all three major models are calling for the most snowfall in the higher elevation regions. I know, very surprising, right? But this seems like a classic early or late fall, early winter type snowstorm where the elevation really plays a huge role in this one. This Canadian model does have a lot more for the Ohio Valley, though. The further inland you go, I'm talking about the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, the more likely it is for lower elevation snowfall to take place. So I am in pretty good agreement here with this Canadian model where it's indicating more snowfall possible for the Ohio Valley. I think that's pretty realistic. Anyway, for today's confidence tab, we're at a 4 out of 6. This will go up over time. We probably will touch on this topic a couple more times before it starts out. It is the most surprising thing going on in the weather world right now. For today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, how do you think November will go down overall, colder or warmer for the East? And James Marr said, I believe overall it will be below average month, and I definitely agree at this point. It does look like more cold air is on the way. For today's patron highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, but especially our platinum patrons, Bill Crates, James Wade, Dovey Nagel, Little the Pan, Mandy Birchfield, and Patrick Strickland as well. I would also like to thank our diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Kudalesa, Catbite, Charles Dennett, Cindy Klein, Alan Goodmaven, Bill Dallas, Gary, John Coolisi, Dwight Phelan, Stephen Kernethal, and Thomas D. Barr as well. I'd also like to thank our channel members, Catbite, Stephen Fan, and Jeremy Cox also. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to smash that like button, leave a comment down below, and subscribe for more weather-related content. I will see you guys in the next video.